Lena Asher actually needs no introduction. She's the founder of Kangaroo Kids. So all of us have probably, a lot of us have put our kids in Kangaroo Kids, Billabong schools. She is the founder of Kangaroo Kids, and she's not only local, but she's gone international. And I think, these are some of these businesses which are growing out of India and run by women entrepreneurs. I think we really need to give them a big hand. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies. I've driven 3.5 hours from Pune for you. Good evening, ladies. Yeah, that's how I get rid of my nervousness, because I speak to moms very often, but when I speak to moms, you have the air of authority, but when I'm speaking to all of you, I'm still quite nervous. A lot of my educational philosophy comes from my own life belief, in such that I believe each one of us is born with a blueprint. And if yours is a blueprint of an entrepreneur, you've got to kind of figure out what that is. I was teaching since the age of 5, so naturally my mom encouraged me. I was lucky enough to have a mom who encouraged me to be a teacher. And Australian born and raised, and in '87, through my teaching degree, I came to India and I saw this huge need for change. So in 1993, I started my first preschool with 25 kids. It was a really hard sell because what I was doing was seen as experimental, and if something's broken, why fix it or why change it? And it was very, very tough to market even to those 25 parents to believe in the philosophy of education that I was setting up. And today we have lots of schools all over India, Dubai, Maldives, and it's obviously come as there's at some point in time there's been a proof of concept. The other proof of concept that happened is a lot of mums and dads kind of felt that school can't be fun and effective, just not possible. And so recently, as our kids have started sitting their 10th year and 12th year board examinations, and not only have they had fun in school but are getting great results, that has been when the second proof of concept sort of comes along. And very simply put, a mum once came to me and she asked me, my kid's so brilliant. She was in my grade 10 or something at the time. She said, I'm really, really wanting her to do medicine because she'll get scholarships for medicine. But she wants to be an architect, and what should I do? And I said, well, it depends. Do you want a miserable B grade doctor as a daughter, or would you rather have a brilliant, happy, A grade architect as a daughter? I said, that's the only question you have to ask yourself, and the rest will just kind of unfold. Yeah, so my philosophy of education comes from the fact that we each have a blueprint, and I was saying at Billabong High is that we have to ignite human greatness. So we have to find what the child has left in him rather than what he's got left out, and then we have to find a way of igniting that. So I'll quickly just take you through the journey. I started in 1993 telling my dad that I will rock education in India. I can build the best preschool, and he made me make a very simple sort of balance project sort of thing, which when I look back was so simple and stupid that I don't know how he passed it, but he passed it. And he said it's only on the day of the opening that he said that the 30 lakhs is a gift, it's not a loan. But he made me go through all and so most of us entrepreneurs start off with money from either something that we have or a family and kind of, but my dad does say today, because I have 2 brothers who run his business, that this is the best 30 lakhs he's ever invested. So and once, I do remember once I asked him, because I saw his will and everything was left to my brothers, and I said, why is that? And he said, well, boys run businesses. And so it took me a long time to prove that a girl can run business as well. And sometimes from something that sort of irks you or pains you will come your drive, so adversity is not always a bad thing. So we started in 1993 with 25 kids. Very quickly we filled that school up because suddenly parents started seeing, at birthday parties and things like that, this kid's so confident. He's just ready to come up and sing and dance. Which school does he go to? Kangaroo Kids. There you go. And then gradually, school started preferring our kids because they'd go in with that confidence and that exuberance. And very soon the school was full. We had kids from the Bandar school, kids coming from Nepinci Road and Versova. And then we had moms say, my kid was in a shell, blah, blah, blah. It was a great concept. Can I please expand it? So my first franchise school was Juhu, and then it went to Delhi and Nagpur and everywhere else where a parent was in India, in Bombay, and said, I want to take it to the city of my birth. So that's how we expanded initially. We went on and on and on, and I became everything that a school would need in terms of software. I became the software provider because I didn't have the capital, and all the money that kept coming in from franchising, I kept putting back in the research of the methodology. In 2003, I started being wooed by an angel investor. I want to invest. I said, no, I don't need your money. I'm very happy where I am. And then in 2006, tragedy struck. I had a businessman who had 4 schools, and he pulled the plug on all 4 schools, owing me in those days, which was like the sum that my entire office ran on, close to 2 crores. And I almost went under. And that's when the angel investor sent me a message again, said, I still believe in you. The offer's still on the table. And I said, okay, I think this is God's way of slapping me because the ego got a bit too big. So I had to take his money. And we survived. Just taking you through some of our schools. That's in Gujarat, Billabong High. That's in Madhya Pradesh. That's in Tamil Nadu. That's in Uttar Pradesh. That's in Maharashtra. And that's in Maldives. And a lot of people ask me, when your mantra was you wanted to change the face of education in India, why did you go to Maldives? And I say, well, the kids there are so adorable, aren't they? And the landscape isn't bad either, and it's a beautiful place to go to. I can't believe that we share the same ocean because it just looks completely different. So, this is my workshop today because I wasn't even sure if I was going to be here. I've got a friend who's in her last stage of cancer, and she's been given 3 or 4 days, and therefore I say, if you've really got a dream, please go chase it, because she's 42 years old, she's about to go, and she is the chef and owner of the best restaurant in Pune, Malacca Spice, if any of you've been there. And she's lived her dream. I know she's got a lot left, but if you got a dream, you just got to chase it, and you got to get to it. And a lot of these slides come from the work that I do with kids, so I just kind of put it together for you guys. So obviously, if you want to be an entrepreneur, we heard that you have to find a paradigm to shift. Yeah. So if you look at what people said a long time ago, and then you see how things have shifted, we know that the change is constantly happening, and in fact the change today is happening faster than ever before. So I keep telling kids that the world as we know it is completely going to shift all the time. So how are you going to find what it is you want to do? And I believe that entrepreneurship's the future, so I actually train every single kid in our school to develop the habits of success and habits of mind that are more entrepreneurial than anything else. Okay, so that was the model of schooling in 1993 when I first came. And obviously I saw it as archaic and I wanted to shift it. So that was my paradigm that I wanted to shift. And this is what it was like, everything was based on memorization. It was, maths, English, social studies, history, geography was all isolated. It was all based on the tests and mugging up. And I remember kids, when I was teaching at Jamnabai, I had a rating from 1 to 55. Yes, I had 55 kids in my class and I had to rate them from 1 to 55. And I said, this is great for the kid who's number 1, 2, and 3, but what happens to the kid who's number 55? You've destroyed him before his life's even begun. And we all know that, everything's not about scores and grades. So I really, really did want to come in and make create a powerful change in the way we ran our educational systems. So what I did is I spoke to a lot of kids and figured out what do they want. And anybody who's read Calvin and Hobbes gets right in the mind of a kid. And a lot of kids said things to me like, why can't schools be a fun and colourful place to be? And why do walls have to always be white and dreary? And why do our school uniforms have to look like uniforms? And why do we have to wear ties in a country like India when it's so hot? And on and on. And why do boys and girls both have, why do boys have to have short hair, etc., etc. So from these kids, I started gleaning what is it that kids actually want in the schooling system. And if I can make it happen for them, if I can give them a feeling of ownership and belief in the schooling system, can I shift the way that kids actually approach the schooling system itself? So this is not mine. This is from a book called Borrowing Brilliance. And if anyone wants to be an entrepreneur and figure out what they want to do, please read this book. It's called Borrowing Brilliance, and it kind of takes you through the steps of when you want to innovate or create something, what do you do? So you start by defining the problem you're trying to solve. Mine was very clear. How do I shift education and make it fun and effective for kids? Then you borrow ideas from the places with a similar problem, and you won't believe this. And one of the things I get kids to do all the time, and I encourage you to do, is we have brainwave states, and the creative state of mind is the state of mind when we're just waking up, or we're in deep meditation, we're just coming out of meditation. Yeah, and I keep a piece of paper and a pad at my bedside. So as I'm waking up, I train my mind to come up with ideas and innovative ideas at that point in time. And so whether it's your mobile phone, it's pen and paper, start giving. And I actually came up for, because when I started in 93, the level of teaching competency in teachers was very, very low. So how was I going to get them to do all this brilliant magical stuff if they hadn't gone through it themselves when they went to school, and they haven't been taught how to do it when they go to, teachers college? And you know where my idea came from? McDonald's. I said, if McDonald's can get a consistency that's so great, why can't I do it in education? So I created curriculum in a box. So everything that a teacher needs, including training systems and everything, is completely created and given to the school as curriculum in a box. Yeah? And I take all the pain away from a teacher and from the administrative staff, because even if the kids are going for a field trip, there's a checklist for the administrator. There's a template of the letter that she needs to send to parents. So I'm taking all the pain away and all the things that get replicated from school to school to school, and I provide it as curriculum in a box. Change was huge, and it's all listed there. And basically, I wanted to do all of these things, and if I knew if I did all these things, I'd have deeply engaged learners who have fun coming to school. So I wanted to do a 360-degree integrated approach, experiential learning, purposeful, willing participation of the brain, discovery. So if you're having fun, you have willing participation of the brain. I was listening to these ladies talking about marketing, and I was all ears, basically because I was looking at what ideas can I implement in what I'm doing. So if you're actually hooked on and you can connect the dots, you really, really do have willing participation of the brain. So the old paradigm, and that's a new paradigm I wanted to create, and I actually listed it down. What is it I wanted to create? And basically, if you look at that, that's grade 4, a literature novel we teach. And if you can see, it's integrated because we don't learn anything in isolation. When we're running a business, we need marketing skills, we need everything. I'll give you an example. When we teach, because entrepreneurship is so high on my agenda, when I teach Charlie in the Chocolate Factory to my grade 3-year-olds, they do everything. They understand brands, so they look at Godiva versus Cadbury. So they start understanding brands and positioning. They create their own ads. So I bring in someone from a creative agency to discuss how storyboards are made, and they learn how to create ads, whether they're print ads or TV ads. They learn about things like I believe you guys have done some legal work as well today. But at that very age, they start making contracts with the school for lease of the classroom, and they create very simple balance sheets like I created in 1993, understanding capital, profit, loss, and things like that. And then depending on which kids have an interest in which area, because it's willing participation of the brain, they come in and they do that part of the whole project, and they actually set up an entire chocolate factory, and at the end sell to parents and make a profit. We've all heard of multiple intelligences, but I'm just showing you in terms of what we wanted to do is look at how the brain actually works and processes information, and how then can I take it into these curriculum documents, methodology systems that I was going to put in the schools. So what I'm talking to kids about all the time, that these people are all dyslexic, yeah? Which means they didn't get good grades at school. These people didn't complete formal learning, schooling, and they became successful entrepreneurs. So what is it? What are these habits of mind that create successful entrepreneurs? And I'll show you a book I've just written, and in that I talk about The Power of Passion, a guy called Gene Landrum, Entrepreneurial Genius, a book he's written. And he says, on the whole, most individuals with high IQ will peak during their academic years, or perhaps during an initial job they receive on the strength of their test results. However, after that, they will soon be surpassed by individuals who possess more applied forms of intelligence that are not revealed on the tests. Above 115 or 120, IQ scores have little bearing on creativity. And I'll tell you this, I have a brilliant principal in my school, and I was in her office because we had to discuss an issue, and she had collected all these mobile phones that kids hadn't turned off in class. And this mobile phone just kept going off and on and on and on. It was a BlackBerry, it was an alarm or something else, I don't know what it was. And I said, could you please turn that off? So she took it out of the drawer, and she's trying to turn it off. She said, but there's a code and I don't know the code. I said, give it to me for a second. I took it from her, took out the battery, put it back in, and I said, there you go. She said, oh, I didn't think of that. which shows you it's not about intelligence. I'm the middle kid. My older brother is a genius IQ level Mensa. My younger brother is a dunce, and I'm middle of the road. My younger brother and I have found life success professionally and personally. My older brother's really, really struggling. So we keep telling him all through school, you had it all, but here, take that. So, and this is something I very powerfully tell kids, if you really have a dream, do pursue it. Don't let anybody, including your mother-in-laws or your husbands or anybody else, let you down. And I was speaking at Harvard Business School, and they said, well, how did you, I'm now divorced, but they asked me at that time, and how did you handle your mother-in-law? I said, just didn't listen. Just went about doing whatever I had to do anyway. So we look at, when I'm talking to kids, I'm saying, what does brain research tell us about the habits of mind that create a winner's brain? And for me, it's largely confidence, persistence, being organized, interpersonal skills, emotional resilience. It's also self-acceptance, exactly of who you are, where you are, what you are. An internal locus of control, so you don't need to be controlled by external factors, optimism and goal setting. And I'll just take you through some of these. Everyone ends up using the stairs. And this largely goes for your employees as well. I mean, since I am speaking to you about your entrepreneurship, if you can make the workplace fun, and I tell, girls have worked with me for 18 years, 17 years, 15 years. People come into my organization, they're shocked that, there are other big, faster moving brands that haven't been able to usurp my girls. And I said, because you know what, they come to work every day having fun. And the minute it stops becoming fun for them, I either shift their role or I ask them to find something else to do in life, because that's the driver. That's the driver for the brain. So if you want to run a really great organization, just make sure you have people having fun at work. I'm getting stronger every day. No. Okay, that's for my kids though. I've done a lot of research on the subconscious mind and its programming, and I've done 4 years of research, and just recently started putting all the elements into our methodology at schools. But we all believe that, we have conscious rational thought and we're coming from there. But 90% of everything we do is driven by the subconscious, and including phobias and everything else. I've always been scared of moths. I've had a moth phobia all my life, and it's only recently that my dad, who didn't connect the dots obviously, said to me randomly, do you remember the time you were stuck in the bathroom with a bat? And I said, what? I said, Bob, did you never understand that my fear of moths comes from that experience? Because the subconscious mind has blocked and repressed the memory, but every time something comes close, we have what is called an amygdala hijack in our brains, and it kind of goes off. So that's a very extreme case, but even in milder cases, if you've grown up thinking money is the root of all evil, you've grown up believing that because that's how your family has led you to believe, or you will never find financial abundance, or if your family has led you to believe that you are worthless, chances are you'll not find worth, self-worth, or love. Yeah? If ever your parents have made you feel unlovable. And it's not that they mean to at all, it's just that they don't understand how the subconscious programming works. And all of this gets downloaded very, very strongly in kids. So I'm talking to you for your kids as well, that if you have to be very, very mindful of how you create the subconscious mind of your kids. I'll give you a very simple story. You've all seen elephants at the zoo with the chain around there. Yeah? Now they can easily break that chain and move away. The reason they don't is because when they're babies, the same chain is put around their leg. Now their subconscious mind is telling their conscious mind, it's not worth trying to break free because you can't. Yeah? So whenever we fear, if we've got an intense fear of failure or anything else, that will sabotage us as much as anything else. So I was telling a mom who came to my Pali Hill Kangaroo Kids, and she said, I'm very disappointed, Miss Asher. The British Embassy had told me so much about your school. The kid came in, had so much fun for the last 3 months, suddenly stopped liking coming to school. A teacher must have hit him or something. I said, I'm so sorry. That's not possible. Can I do a consultation with your child? And anyway, to cut a long story short, what I realized through an intense consultation, which was an hour I spent with the kid, is he was a perfectionist. Every single, in his workbook, everything he had to color was perfect. Every single numeral he wrote was perfect. Every single math sum was correct. Every single alphabet workbook was correct. Everything was correct, till one day he got one sum wrong and he stopped liking coming to school after that. So I actually got the mother in and I said, do you drive your husband crazy? So she looked at me and said, yeah, kind of. Why? I said, aren't you a perfectionist? I can imagine coming to your home and your toilet paper is neatly folded, all your napkins are in an equal line. You've got obsessive compulsive disorder in being a perfectionist? She said, yeah. I said, you've downloaded it from how your parents brought you up, but now you're making your kid like that as well. And I said, chances are if you don't reprogram your subconscious, your husband will leave you. And if you don't reprogram your subconscious, your kid's going to have hell going forward, because the brain will, listen to this very carefully, the brain will move away from fear more than it will veer towards pleasure. So it will rather save itself from pain rather than seek pleasure. That's an inherent nature of the brain. So if you fear failure, you'd rather not try anything than try it and fail. And we know that success is not about that at all. There's a great book, if anyone's interested, called The Biology of Belief. It's basically what spiritually, I guess the Bhagavad Gita said years ago, a man is made by belief, as he believes so he is. This guy, Dr. Bruce Linton, has actually written down the science from a cellular level right to everything else as to why the biology of belief or the power of belief is such an important thing. It's not mumbo-jumbo psychology, sociology, psychiatry. It's actual science, and he takes you through the science of it. So when I'm talking to kids, I give them a very simple example. I said there are two salesmen who are sent from America to Africa to look at the opportunity of setting up a shoe factory. One writes back and says, no opportunity, nobody wears shoes. The second one writes back and says, fabulous opportunity, nobody wears shoes. And just by your perception, you can change the whole outcome of your life. And that's the biology of belief. very often talk to kids and they have a gratitude log. When you feel grateful for something, and even if what you need to know is, even if you're depressed or you're going through a bad time, you can actually change the physiology of your being from a cellular level all the way to your emotional level, just by focusing on something that you can feel grateful for. And it's very, very important because it raises your immunity system. It actually makes your brain function better. We all know that fear downshifts the brain, or the kind of chemicals that fear and stress release in our bodies downshift the brain. These are things that make the brain feel great. Just watch this little girl.
Look, I can be a shark. Now my whole house is great. I can do anything good. I like my school. I like anything. I like my dad. I like my cousins. I like my aunts. I like my Allisons. I like my moms. I like my sisters. I like my dad. I like my hair. I like my haircuts. I like my pajamas. I like my stuff. I like my rooms. I like my whole house. My whole house is great. I can do anything good. Yeah. I can do anything good. Better than anyone. Better than anyone.
And we know it actually works, I promise you. I'll be 50 in a few months' time, and everyone looks at me and says, "You look so young. You don't look like you're 50 at all." And I say, "Well, every morning in the mirror I say, I look young, I look young, I look young." So we can all do that. Anyway, so winners are also okay with setbacks and failures. They turn adversity into opportunity. I'll just give you a simple example. Everyone kept complaining that people were copying my curriculum, like my worksheets that were going home as home notes. People were copying, and I said, I'll just start publishing them and give them in the open market, turn into a business opportunity. So you just have to see when something's going wrong, how can you turn it right again? As you heard, the two salesmen, change the way you look at things, and things you look at change. We know by science now that if you're watching a drop of water, if you watch it and I watch it, depending on how we're perceiving it, we actually change the molecular structure, physical structure of the water. So that's something very powerful. And even with a classroom of kids, if I tell a teacher that this classroom of kids is highly intelligent, their grade levels go up. If I say they're dumbos, their grade levels come down. So the very perception changes how things turn out. This is one thing I'm really that you have to find your passion and purpose. I've got kids in school who don't do well academically, and then I got to find out where are they great. So I've got a kid who's got ADHD. He's in the Santa Cruz school. He's not ever going to do brilliantly well academically, but he's a great performer, and we finally encouraged his mom to send him for performances. He did the movie with Shah Rukh Khan, The Ravan, and he did a better job than Shah Rukh Khan did, if I do say so myself. Just that success lifted his entire academic game as well. Yeah, so we've got to figure out how kids. I've got another kid who comes home. He's a friend's son, and he's not doing well academically at all, but he cooks for me. So he's going to be a genius chef someday. So if I can focus on what he's great at, there you go. Winners have to know that failing is part of the journey, and you have to have a mantra of focus. Starbucks, just by shifting their vision statement, somebody asked the CEO of Starbucks, what makes you different to other coffee houses? And he said, the other coffee houses are in the coffee business serving people. I'm in the people business serving coffee. So just that subtle shift can create such a dynamic shift in how everything works out. Beatles, you know what their mantra was? It's like a goosebumpy one. Their mantra when they were a garage band was bigger than Elvis. That's all. Mine was when I was teaching in school, I wanted to be the best teacher. Then when I experienced India, I wanted to change the face of education in India. And now a lot of things have changed. A lot of new concepts are being experimented with. And now I want to be the most loved education brand. We also know that people who set goals actually create the roadmap to getting somewhere. And I've experimented with this myself. I spoke to you about the conscious and subconscious programming stuff. I went for a week-long workshop with Anthony Robbins called A Date with Destiny, where he tries to reprogram your subconscious, and he taught us how to write goals. This is a fact that if you read that, in 1953, researchers surveyed Yale's graduating seniors to determine how many of them had specific written goals for their future. 3%. 20 years later, the 3% had accumulated more personal financial wealth than the other 97% of the class combined. Now, I'm not saying that their goals were about financial wealth, because I truly believe if you find passion and purpose, wealth follows. You don't focus on the wealth and then passion and purpose comes. So when I went to a date with Destiny, I had to write down my 4 goals, and one of them I wrote down was, I want to write a book, and I said I want to write a successful parenting book. Yeah, it has to always be in the positive. So I encourage each of you to try and write down 4 goals, 4 things you're going to master and accomplish this year. They always have to be in the positive. One of my goals for this year is be 10 kilos slimmer. So I can't say I will lose 10 kilos, because that's a negative. Yeah, so it has to be a positive goal, has to be written in the positive. So I wrote this goal down. Now you make all this, and I believe in synchronicity, in auspicious coincidences, because you make the wish and it happens. I came back and a publishing house called Random House approached me and said, would you write a parenting book for us? Now you may say that's coincidence or not, but I put the wish out there. And it's 33 on the bestseller list, so bingo. Doesn't make me a lot of money, but winners also know that EQ is vital to life success, and we also adding PQ to it, which is a passion quotient, because to persevere and do all those other things, unless you're passionate about something, you can't do it. Winners exercise their entire brain. I ask people to do simple things to shake up your brain. It takes, for any new neural connection to take place, it takes 21 days. So if you notice, when you wear your clothes, you'll always put one foot in first. The same foot when you wear your pants. So to shake up your brain, you have to consciously wear the other foot, put the other leg in first. 21 days later, you've created a new neural connection. So it's important to break up your patterns, to break up things, put things in a different place, and all of that. You have to start exercising your entire brain. And for kids, I say that you've got 4 pots: a physical pot, an emotional pot, a spiritual pot, and a cognitive pot. And you've got to do something to fill these 4 pots every single day. Because even when you hug, yeah, and you're filling an emotional pot, you're actually creating a better brain. Yeah, when you do something spiritual, and it doesn't have to be yoga, it doesn't have to be chanting or praying. It can be doing something good for someone else. You actually also shake up your entire brain. You can actually build a better brain if you exercise these things every day. Also, you have to figure out why you want to do something before you work on the how and the what. So before you do your fancy marketing plans or your business plans or anything else, you really need to connect your brain with why you're doing it. So your keys to successful entrepreneurship: passion, work, focus, push yourself, have ideas, improve, and serve and persist. And I also believe that when you actually, part of your why comes from a deep need to shift the way the community works. You want to give back something. That intent itself is powerful enough to create some shifts. And that's my approach to my kids, to my educational philosophy, and to anyone who wants to become an entrepreneur, that your life is not a coincidence, it's a reflection of you. So if you want to write a book, Random House will come looking. Thank you so much. Questions? Oh, and these are my 12-year-olds in Chennai. They've set up their own. The older one's the president, the younger one's the CEO. You heard of them? Yes. Yeah. So they're kids in my Billabong school who've set up their own company, and they sold 10,000 downloaded apps to to Apple, and they're doing very, very well. So if 12-year-olds can do it, I'm sure we can too. Any questions?
No questions? Hello. Yeah.
Sorry?
I'm here.
Oh. In Russia? In Vashi? No, you can set one up. Just write to me, lina@kkel.com, if you want to set up a Kangaroo Kids. lina@kkel.com. And it's amazing. My Bhopal franchisee makes 90% of his income in his zip factory and 10% of his income in Billabong High. But he spends 90% of his time at Billabong High and 10% of his time at the zip factory. And he says it's just been a life-changing moment for me because I just love being around these kids and knowing I'm making so much difference.
Lovely presentation. Can you share it with us if we write to you?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. And are you doing anything post 10th grade?
12th. We go up to the 12th.
Oh, you go up to the 12th.
We go up to the 12th. We're also looking at with Australia because I'm an Australian national. We're looking at seeing if whether we can bring in the kind of courses that are not being run in India, the more creative right brain courses. There's another book you guys should read because if you want to be entrepreneurs, it's Why Right Brainers Will Rule the World. And you'll understand why I've shifted the focus of my education to a more balanced left and right brain approach.
I'm actually not talking to you because of the entrepreneur. I'm a mother, so I would like to know if you have something in Thane, a school in Thane.
We have Billabong High in Thane.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, I just shifted, so I don't know. I'm sorry. Thanks.
The name of that book again? The last book. The name of the book?
Why Right Brainers Will Rule the World by Daniel Pink. Why Right Brainers Will Rule the World by Daniel Pink, and the other book that I urge you to read is Borrowing Brilliance. It's almost like an innovation manual. Can you just Google it? It's Borrowing Brilliance. It'll be very high up on the sale list. I don't remember. I'm sorry, but I don't recall the author.
Excuse me, yeah. I'm Tahiya Bacha. I'm staying at Thane. I know quite a few kids who are attending Billabong High. The review of the school is brilliant, very good, but the only problem is the cost factor. Compared to the other schools which are running in Thane, very good schools like Singhania and all, Billabong is supposed to be very high bracket school.
Okay,
so
I'll just explain to you. When I came from Australia, there were only 3 levels of schooling. There was only one American School of Bombay, which was pegged at around 8 lakhs a year. There was all the other schools, Bombay Scottish, all your historical conventional schools, which were pegged at around 500 to 1,000 rupees a year. And then there were your municipal schools, which nobody wanted to go to. What I wanted to do was to offer what American School of Bombay was offering, or better, but at a more affordable price. So yes, our price point is more than Singhania or any of the conventional schools, but you have to understand I have 100 people who create the methodology, the curriculum in a box system that goes to school. So there's a whole back end that our schools have to support, as well as our ratios. We have 2 teachers to 24 kids. So we have ideal school ratios from grade 1 upwards. And in play school, it's 1:8. So given, and we're air conditioned, and our buildings, we try to put more facility in there. So everything comes at a cost. We can't help that. I understand your concern, but everything comes at a cost. But then we do a lot as a company. We support Angel Express. We provide all the teacher training and curriculum for them on an honorary basis. So we do give back to society in the best way we can. But anything, whether you're eating, a pav bhaji or on the road a pav bhaji in Taj, will come at a different price point, and that's something we really can't help. But we've tried to keep it as affordable as possible. Now with the RTE 25%, they've cut us off even more.
Excuse me. I'm from Vashi, Navi Mumbai. I believe in what you say, learning should be fun all the time. So I conduct a lot of workshops, not in a big way, in a small way, after school programs. And I'm here to scale up that because I'm feeling I'm not reaching out to more kids. What do you have to advise me? That's why I'm here, because somewhere in terms of capital, in terms of teamwork, I'm not finding the right kind of niche to scale up.
The first thing is, if you found the paradigm to shift, so if you also ran after school provider, you will find it very difficult to scale that up. Yeah? I'll give you an example. We started a program called Jimburu Evening Club. And we were flooded. We had 400 kids, and then everyone started copying what we were doing, and we actually had to shut it down. So if you are, and because they're providing it at a cheaper price point. So if you're providing what anybody else is providing, then no, but you'll have to come out with a really innovative new thing to do. And then you'll be able to start getting your audience, demanding a price and then expanding.
Basically, I face the challenge of inconsistency of parents. Like, they like it very much, they come to me, they are, but they don't. There is no sustainability in the sense they do about 20 sessions and then they say.
Can we take this offline, please? Yeah. And I'm just going to give time for one more question related to entrepreneurship, related to the topic.
Yeah, because I'm driving back to Pune.
Yeah. Just one last question, if there is. Yeah.
I guess not.
Yeah, that's great. So this has been wonderful. And on behalf of everybody, Leena, I'm going to thank you a lot.